All right, we're going to get started. All right, we are here, y'all. This is our very first podcast episode, Healing Me First, stories of breakthroughs, transformation, and healing. I am so happy to have our guest today, my favorite doctor, should be your favorite doctor, Dr. Katherine Igah-Phillips of Mind, Body, Spirit Wellness. And today, we're talking about authentic or accessing authentic healing. So for those out there that are listening, I really want you to tell folks who you are, Dr. K. How did you get to this place where you now have Mind, Body, Spirit Wellness, which I think is one of the most amazing clinics here in Greater Atlanta? So I just want you to share your story, your background of the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Condensed version. My name is Dr. Katherine Igah-Phillips. So most people just refer to me as Dr. K, just the letter K, as Chef Beee said. And my journey. I started off in conventional medicine as far as my education and training. And then I kind of was confronted by the excessive use of drugs and side effect ridden remedies and surgeries, and just the way that the curriculum was in medical school kind of didn't fit for me because my lifestyle, my background is Nigerian. So I grew up in a very Nigerian household with different herbs and creams and things we would use that were more natural. But at the time, I just didn't put two and two together that it was medicine. For me, it was just a part of my lifestyle. So I went through the conventional because that's the only way I knew how at the time to become a doctor. And I remember when I would ask about the natural remedies, I was just kind of told to not worry about that, and that it wasn't really like real medicine, just stick to this. So that, of course, made me more curious about it. So I went ahead and finished. I got my MD, and I wanted to explore this natural realm a lot more in depth than what was given to me by way of shadowing other doctors or maybe doing my own personal research. So I did close to between 5 and 6 years of 100% natural training on my own, put it together because at the time there was nothing like it really out. So I had to do it all by myself and find people who were leading in that industry, the natural medicine industry, and plug in with them and seek training from them. And I did a lot of that natural training in the oncology realm. So a lot of cancer work with natural medicine, but then, everything else, chronic disease, hormonal imbalance, performance enhancement, everything. So I then started a coaching business where I was doing more of wellness coaching with people, giving more hand-holding in between their doctor's visits and helping people to restructure their lifestyle in a way that would prevent disease or reverse symptoms they were currently having. And a lot of people were just kind of like, I wish this was my primary care facility. And I wish there was a place that I could go to, like a brick and mortar where I could go and receive therapies under you. And I was just like, that's, it's a call to action. That's how I took it. So at the time, I feel like I just kind of manifested it. So my colleague and very, very close friend, she's like a sister to me, Dr. Maisha Claiborne, she at the exact same time was just kind of like, I'm in integrative medicine, but I want to switch careers. She wanted to sell her practice and she wanted to go into a different facet of healthcare. And she basically told me that I was the only one that she trusted with the practice, or she would just shut it down. So at that point, I had to make a decision. You know, I was, pregnant. I was just like, was this a good time to start a practice? But then, I was like, I manifested this and I asked for this and God delivered immediately. So I can't say, oh, maybe later. So I took it on and now I'm going into my fourth year. We're 3 years strong and of me being owner of the practice. And I took the practice, rebranded it, made it more of a reflection of me and the type of care I wanted to deliver to people. The practice is called Mind, Body, Spirit Wellness Center. And I've devised therapies, supplements, coaching around all three elements or all three facets of your wellness. So there's something to address the mind, something to address the spirit, something to address the body. And I wanted to really have an extensive amount of options for people to come in and it be kind of like a mall where you can just kind of come in if you want acupuncture, if you want nutrient IV therapy, if you want hormone balancing, if you want CBD oil, whatever it is that you need, it would be there under one roof. And that was my dream and it's manifested. And that's how I got to where I am today in a nutshell.
That's powerful. That's beautiful. And so, I know you and I have talked a little bit about this mind, body, spirit connection. And so for those out there that are listening, let's talk a little bit about why it's not just important to focus on one area over the other and why the synchronicity of focusing on those three areas are critical as we think about healing ourselves and supporting others in their healing work.
Right. Right. I definitely am an advocate of balancing all three realms. I aim for balance and not perfection. And I feel that if you can get them balanced, there's a continuous journey. Like there's always a level that you can go up to. It never ends, this wellness journey. And it's important to understand that everything is connected. So when you look at yourself holistically, like your whole self, you have to understand that all of the systems of your body are connected, and then all of the realms of your wellness are connected. Your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, your physical, your spiritual well-being, they all feed into each other. So I had to figure that out through seeing that a lot of people would come with complaints of like migraines or something very physical realm. And after sitting and peeling back the onion layers and really assessing and getting to the root cause, it was very often found that the underlying cause would actually not be in the physical realm. It would actually be in the mental realm or in the spiritual realm. And it was just very interesting for me to see that this parallel between all of the realms exists, and everything you're doing in each realm has to also parallel. So if you're detoxing and cleansing in the spiritual realm, you need to be detoxing and cleansing spiritually. You need to be detoxing and cleansing mentally. Everything as you nourish and feed yourself physically with nutrients, you have to feed your spirits, you have to feed your mental realm. Everything is parallel. And we can't just kind of focus only on the physical realm and sweep the other ones under the rug. That's where imbalance leads to problems and conditions that we were never designed to have in the first place.
And I think there's so many of us that don't realize this, right? Until we are faced with situations where you're doing all of the work in a particular area to balance, to cleanse, and you're not seeing as many results or as much results as you would like. And you're like, well, I'm doing everything. What am I missing? Mm-hmm. And then once there's this realization that, wait a minute, there's these other areas that need work, right? And once you start realizing that these other areas need work, then and only then can you start doing that balancing piece that you're talking about. But many of us aren't even thinking that, wait a minute, there might be some things from my childhood that I need to address that are now coming into my adult life. Mm-hmm. Or, there's so many different aspects of how this plays out, right?
Oh yeah, this is kind of like how we were trained as a society, and definitely like in health institutions like medical schools and things. It's very physical realm focused. And just as you pointed out, a lot of people come to me and they're suffering and they feel horrible. They don't feel like themselves. They're not working optimally, like as a whole. And they're like, but my lab results were normal. Like the other doctors told me my lab tests were normal, but I don't feel normal. And you have to listen to that. Like you have to pay attention to that and to know that either the correct tests may not have been run, or you're not totally considering yourself as a whole. Like you said, there could be things in your childhood that are trickling into the physical realm. You know, there could be things emotionally that are triggering chronic conditions for you that need to be addressed that is not going to show up on a lab test. That's not going to be resolved with a pill. You know, so it's very important that you understand this is like true self-awareness is understanding that you are multidimensional and understanding that you need to hop into all of these dimensions at all times, like a self-audit to constantly keep them balanced and elevating. And this is how you elevate consciousness, just your complete and total awareness of your existence and your power to live in your truth within that existence comes from this.
That's so powerful. And for those of us who are listening out there, when we talk about accessing authentic healing or authentic health, that was, we were thinking about, well, what should we call this podcast episode? And that's what we came up with. When you thought about accessing authentic health, accessing authentic healing, what does that mean to you for yourself?
Oh, accessing authentic healing. So for me, that hits hard. Like that really resonates with me because that for me is part of my purpose on this earth. You know, I'm called to heal people, which many people are, but the way that you do it is everything. And that's how you actually hit it, the nail on the head. Because anyone can be, I could have just gone to medical school, gone to a traditional, residency and been out here plugged in at a local hospital, and I'm still healing. But how? The integrity of that healing is not as pure, as holistic, as authentic. So for me, authentic healing means a true, a pure sense of healing that addresses the total person, where you're looking in and you're managing, you're healing the person's whole self, all of the dimensions we've talked about, and you're employing different healing tools that will not harm the person, different healing tools that will address the underlying cause, different healing tools that will not have various side effects that you need other tools to mask. You're using things that are very pure from the earth, things that are of nature, but then, knowing when and where to use different types of medicine. So authentic healing for me looked like not being tunnel vision into one type of healing tool, but in getting educated and experienced in all healing, like as much as I could, healing modalities from all around the world. So, if conventional medicine is needed, then sure. But then if African herbs can help remedy this, then sure. If Ayurvedic medicine can remedy it, great. If homeopathic medicine can remedy it, great. If Chinese medicine can remedy it, then great. And I'm able to pull from all of these modalities because at the end of the day, the goal is to just get the person healed.
Right.
Any means necessary. And to me, that is authentic healing, healing with that mindset involved.
That's so beautiful because I think when we think about healing, some of us, particularly those of us who are practitioners, we have a specific area of focus that we really enjoy and that speaks to us.
Yeah.
But what I also hear you saying is that that might not even be enough, right? It's really about continuing to expand your knowledge
Right.
about modalities and ways of thinking about the whole body, the entire person. And for those of you listening out there, the healing journey starts within, right? It's not just about you seeking assistance outside of you. It's you trying to gain knowledge for yourself on what modalities work for you so that you can employ those when you're not going to a physician, when you're at home, day
Mhm.
in and day out. And so it's critical that we're constantly expanding our knowledge and our understanding of our bodies so that that healing journey that we're on forever just continues to expand and elevate.
Right. Yeah. We were blessed with so many healing tools on this earth, too many for us to ever count, understand, learn about. So for me to pick three and like get tunnel vision down those three, I felt, to me personally, I felt that that was doing the person that I'm healing or the people that I'm healing a disservice. Because if I only go down the rabbit hole of what I'm interested in, that's something that resonated with me for a reason. And that could even perhaps be involved in my own personal healing and something that I might be needing and calling out for subconsciously. And that's why I'm resonating with that. But that doesn't mean that the person that I'm treating necessarily will resonate with that or even respond to that therapeutically. So I like having a vast knowledge of like just worldly medicine, worldly healing, and knowing what different cultures are using and have been using, before us for healing and incorporating everything because it's not going to be just one thing that's the end all cure all. At any point, whether conventional or natural, there's not like just one thing that you can cookie cutter put case by case by case on each person. So, someone might be great with essential oils, someone might not respond so well. Someone may be great with homeopathic for the next person that may be like that did nothing for me. And then at that point, you have to find the magical dance that you're doing between all of the realms to get to this sweet spot for each individual person. Because when you think of nature and like, animals and other species, and you go into a jungle, there's an array of healing tools. And it's not like, let's just only do this plant or this root or this herb. There's an array of things that work together symbiotically to generate healing across all systems of the body. So I try to mirror that, within the healing process that I do.
That's powerful. That's beautiful. And I love, I've never thought about it in that way. And for me to know a doctor that is looking at it in that way is just refreshing. And it gives me, I'm at ease,
Yeah.
like, wow, this person's really just trying to figure out what works and their way, the one way that works for them or these other patients, it just may not work for me. So the fact that they know these other ways, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I want to ask you, in terms of your healing journey, is there something that might have happened in your life that has helped to cement how you do your work and affirms your approach in terms of the way you have operated for healing? Has there been anything that has happened that you're like, okay, you know what? I know that this works
Mm,
because I tried it myself.
mm.
I did this particular protocol myself. Has anything?
Um, no, nothing's happened. My life is perfect. um, so yeah, so many things. So if I had to pick like two or three, let's see. First of all, from like a very young age, I've always known that I was supposed to be making people feel better. That was my terminology when I was younger, and making people beyond like cough cough make the cough stop, but like making people feel whole, like a better version of themselves. And one thing, which was more spiritual realm for me, that I used to experience was when I would come into contact with someone and they weren't feeling good, whatever they weren't like they were having symptom wise, I would feel that. And so if someone was like, oh, my head really hurts, then my head would start hurting. And I'm like, is it like a sharp pain right in the right, right here, right next to your eye? And they're like, yeah, how did you know? And I'm like, yeah, it just started happening to me. And
What?
someone was nauseated. I would feel it. So at first I didn't know what to do with that, and I just kind of ignored it. And then after a while, it just became my norm. And then when I figured out that it wasn't happening to everyone else, then I was just kind of like, maybe, this is a tool that God has given me to be able to fully empathize, with people from a healing perspective, and truly want to help them feel better, because it's actually making me physically ill. And I'm now doing work physically or spiritually on myself to come to terms with how to harness that, how to control that, what that even means for me. You have all the empath and all of that, the terminology floating around. Definitely am that empath, but it's beyond, like, crossing into the physical realm. So it's not just being very intuitive about people's emotions and feelings. It was like a physical, like, someone is having a physical ailment, I would feel it. So I had to really sharpen my own spiritual gifts around healing, so that I, for one, could protect myself, because, if I'm dealing with very severe things, I don't want to then feel that. And then two, use it to my advantage, and really empathizing and really helping to craft ways to heal people, and do it quickly. So that was something that I have employed, and is plugging into my medical intuitive gift that I use when I'm talking to people, coaching with people, consulting. And another thing that helped to solidify that I was doing the right thing and in the right place was my pregnancy. my I have a 3-year-old daughter. Her name is Genesis, and I basically used her to download everything I had been teaching into. I don't want to say like experiment, but I basically, this was my chance to, from the complete scratch, from the embryo, to download everything that I've been teaching and see what kind of human would come from that. So, the type of diet I teach about, the way of eating, the way, the amount of water, the supplements I took in, I was like Zen, stress-free throughout the pregnancy. I strategically did different things throughout each trimester, throughout each week of development for her, and sacrifice things on my behalf as an incubator of her. And then everything was an alignment with the holistic wellness and everything that I've been teaching. And she came out like, wow, she's a superhuman. And before even getting to her, like me, like my pregnancy was amazing. My labor was amazing. My delivery was amazing. It was completely natural. It was in the water. The After my water broke, she came in 20 minutes. Like, it was like amazing. It was amazing. And then she's like super genius, super intelligent, hitting milestones early from the beginning. She's been skipped 2 grades in school already. She's on her 3rd language. Her energy is like a gazelle, like zoop, 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 all day, just running on fuel. She's totally plant-based in her eating. She's never had meat, never had dairy, never had processed sugar, never had candy, nothing like that. And her immune system is like sky high, like everything that I'm just looking at her like, this is how we were supposed to be. Yeah. And if I can help people to undo the package, the baggage that we've collected as adults through our lifestyle, and then get to a pure platform like where she is, my goodness, like I haven't had to deal with like major pediatric health conditions at all. And it's just made my life easier as a mom. And so that really was affirmation for me of everything that, like, this is how we were originally designed to be, and this stuff really works. And everything I've been teaching really, like, I knew it worked on me, but I was like, wow, this is amazing. And the final piece is in 2015, I lost my father. I lost him to the number one cause of death in the United States, heart disease. And at that time, I was just beginning my natural training, and I was, doing everything that I could to keep up with him and manage him with my conventional knowledge. And it just wasn't enough. Like, it wasn't hitting enough. And to watch him decline before my eyes while we're being faithful to the protocols and conventional medicine, faithful to the doctor's visits, faithful to the medications, faithful to everything that was lined out, the script. We followed the script, and there was still a decline. And I was just like, something is missing. Then as I got, deeper into my natural medicine, I figured out that the whole lifestyle component had been completely ignored. And, by then it was like we were so far gone, like so far into the heart disease that what I was doing, I was racing against time, and I was able to buy time. But as far as like reversing all damage done, that was nearly impossible because I was fighting against 25 years of of an imbalanced deficit lifestyle. So I did what I could, and then to watch someone that close to me, because he was probably the closest human being to me ever, to watch the decline and then to actually lose him to something we that is preventable, like it's something that we never have to have in the first place, but yet it's claiming most of our lives year after year. That completely broke my heart, like to complete pieces. To know that had I known what I know now when I was like, I would have been like a teenager, started. But to have known what I know now, there's no way that that would have gone down like that. And from that moment on, I made a commitment to myself that, one, I'm not going down that path. There's this running in the family thing that we're deading it here, and for my child. And then two, I can't let anyone else go out like that, right? I can't let anyone else in my family, my friends, I can't let someone else's father, I can't let someone else's mother, I can't let someone lose someone to something that was preventable in the first place. I made it my mission to go in and attack people's lifestyles, because it's not saying that, conventional didn't work at all. Like, I'm not saying that. But if I had coupled that with beefing up his lifestyle, my God, like that would have been such a transformational form of healing, or the authentic healing we were talking about before. And that was a very emotional time for me, but it also was an awakening for me. And so it's almost like everything I'm doing now, I'm doing it for him. Like, I've dedicated it to him, and I know he's smiling and happy and proud. And in the beginning was just kind of like, what is this type of medicine that you're talking about? And then towards the end was like, I see, I understand now. I want to eat how you eat. I want to do but by then it was too late. But I can help other people not be too late. And that's my mission now because of that situation.
Yeah, that definitely would cement the mission, that would definitely cement the mission. And so, as we kind of get ready to wrap up, I want you to tell folks out there, what kinds of things would you recommend if there was one takeaway that people listening to this podcast could have, one takeaway, what would you say to them in regards to healing, looking inward at their healing process? What would you recommend to them or say to them?
Um, One thing I would say, to put yourself first. Like, everyone wants to to shift things around them and shift people around them and shift circumstances around them, but you have to look inward first. And if everyone looks inward, then no one has to look outward, if that makes sense. If everyone does true self-care, not just like, I'm going to go to the nail salon, but like true self-care, like have you hopped into each of those realms? Mental realm, physical realm, spiritual realm, emotional realm, and just look at that realm and say, how am I doing on a scale of 1 to 10 today in that realm? Boom. What can I add this week to enhance that realm? What can I subtract this week to enhance that realm? Done. Next realm. How am I doing on a scale of 1 to 10 in this realm? Boom. What can I add this week to enhance this realm? What can I subtract this week to enhance this realm? Done. Next realm. And you do that like all the time. That is true self-care. That is an audit. And then you have to have the discipline to hold yourself to, or get an accountability partner or team to hold yourself to whatever you're adding or subtracting. And if it's not clear for you to see what it is, like you can't see your own mess, you can employ someone who can. So someone like myself who can look in, from an aerial view and say, hey, have you looked at this? Have you considered this that's in your mental realm that's actually causing you to not lose weight? Or have you considered this in your spiritual realm that's actually the underlying cause of the cancer? Or have you considered, like someone who can look in and chop it up, manage it, to-do list, protocol, and go do it. And then check back in. How are you doing? Go do this. Like that. That is true self-care. And that is how you get yourself to a place where your self-awareness is high. You're elevating your consciousness. You're making moves based on your elevated consciousness. I can't be around this because it's not aligned with my purpose. I can't be around this person because they're too toxic. I can't eat this type of thing because it's too toxic to my immune system. Like you're just able to make these decisions without, oh, the doctor told me to, like all of that is obsolete. You're just able to maneuver through life, and it just makes life and reality, our reality, so easy and so simple at that point. And that's how we were originally designed to be existing in the first place, not this overcomplicated, disease-filled life that we've created.
I always tell people that when you're able to quiet your mind is so busy and your mind has so much chatter and your mind is constantly telling you the right thing and the wrong things to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But if you listen to your heart whispers. And if you're able to quiet your mind, you can hear the whisper of your heart of what it is that you should be doing. I just finished up a cleanse, and prior to that cleanse, I was reaching for the chocolate chip cookies. I was reaching for the sugary stuff. And this elevated consciousness just kind of going inward and thinking over those days of cleansing. Is this serving me well? Why am I eating this? How am I feeling when I do it? Right?
Yeah.
And so now, okay, the cleanse is over. The cookies are still here. I'm not reaching for it. And it's like, I don't want that. I don't want to feel like that anymore. So there's a level of consciousness.
Lost.
Yeah, and awareness. It's like when you're in yourself, when you're in yourself,
yeah,
and you're truly listening to what you feel,
yeah,
and what you need.
Yeah.
Then the decisions that you make for yourself in yourself become so much easier.
Yeah.
It
really does. It is like an awakening. Like you're just like, whoa, like this world I was living before, you weren't bad or wrong, for it. You were just at a lower vibration. You were like of your lower self, and you just acknowledge that, and now you're higher or elevated, and you just keep leveling up and within your consciousness. And then the decisions don't get so complicated. Which oil am I supposed to have? What are the top 10 foods that you just know, and you just strive for this balance.
Yes.
And you make decisions off of not having the desire to go. And, I always tell people, you could like grill barbecue ribs right next to me. And I could be like, those ribs smell fantastic, but I literally have no desire to consume it. Like, I
That's
just have no, not even to like lick the sauce, like nothing. I just know, like, no desire. And for like 6 years now of meat, and it's just, people are, is it hard? How do you do that? It's not like a magical thing. You just lose the desire after a while because I'm at a different level of consciousness where I need my vibrational frequency to be at a certain place. And I know the things that bring it down.
That's
So
right.
it's like a no-brainer. Like, I'm just not attracted to those things anymore. And it's not a diet or, something temporary. I don't like saying that I'm a vegan because that says that it basically tells people what I don't eat. But if I say like I'm plant-based, it tells people what I do eat. And the focus should be on abundance and incorporation rather than elimination and what you can't do and can't eat and can't have. So the positive thinking and yeah, it's just a beautiful feeling because you're getting closer and closer to alignment with your purpose and with your higher self. And that for me is like my ultimate like dream and all from being on this earth. If I can align with that, like what God actually put me here to do, if I can get aligned with that, I feel that's the greatest expression of gratitude.
Ashe, ashe. So, Dr. Phillips, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Yeah.
Tell folks who are listening how they can connect with you, what kinds of things you have coming up.
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually have a meditation session this evening. So that's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's going to be streamed live on Facebook as well. So the way that you can connect with me, my handle is at Elevate with Dr. K. So Elevate with DRK. That's both Facebook and Instagram. And that meditation session will stream live from the Facebook page of that at Elevate with Dr. K. And then for people who want more information about my practice, that handle is at Mind, Body, Spirit, Wellness, Inc., INC. And that's again, both Facebook and Instagram. And you can get information about the practice, discounts, specials, promos, all of that that's going on. And the practice is in the Marietta area of Atlanta. So that's that.
Awesome. And for those of you who are listening, if you want to stay connected to me, Chef Bee, that's Chef Bee, CHEF BEEE, and those E stand for Be Empowered, Energized, and Engaged for this podcast and future episodes and cleanses, meal prep, and all of the amazing things that we have coming up. We are so excited to launch this podcast, Healing Me First, and we look forward to our next guest. Our next guest will be the raw vegan health coach. So we will let you guys know when that next episode is coming out. Thank you again, Dr. K, for coming out today and sharing your view of accessing authentic healing with us and just your beautiful presence. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. All right, guys. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.